I'm your host, Dave Wolfers, and the gentleman in the center is Sam Wolfers, my son, and the gentleman on my right, your left, is Charlie Crawley. We're happy for you to join us tonight. You can check us out at youtube.com on Cincy Sports Scene if you want to check us live. Whoops, I went Sam.
Yeah.
But we also have on all the podcasting platforms, we are there. We appreciate your support. And if you like and hit subscribe and tell your friends if they're diehard Cincinnati fans, never know. You might be on the show one day. With that, as we always do, we always want to go around and just see how everybody's week was because it's been 2 weeks since we've got together. So, Sam, how you been?
Oh, not too bad. Have anything to really complain about? So,
And Crawley, what about you?
Yeah, it's been good. Yeah, it's getting into November. Good weather still for November. Still did a little work outside today, which is, be able to do that on November 3rd is a good thing. Looks like the beginning of this week looking nice. We'll see how this week plays out with an event that's coming up in a couple of days. So, but we'll go from there.
We will go from there.
Might be the last podcast we have.
We'll see. But we'll go. I was outside mowing and mulching leaves today, and I was like, "Oh yeah, the Bengals play today." Came in, turned on the TV, and saw the Raiders score right away, and I went, "Why am I in here? I might as well just stay outside and rake the leaves in the driveway." But I watched them, and they didn't disappoint. So good for them. And we'll get into that in the week that was. So let's go right into the week that was. UC Bearcats had an off week this week after the tough loss out at Colorado, and they got West Virginia coming to town next week. So preview of that real quick. Anything that we should be afraid of with West Virginia?
Just the matchup last year was really bad. Might have been the worst game UC played all season. Of course, I was there in West Virginia, so it made it even worse. But West Virginia is about, in terms of record is UC. They're actually UC's one game better, but they're tied in the Big 12, both at 3-2. So in a sense, one team moves to 4-2, becomes bowl eligible. Well, if UC wins, they become bowl eligible. I think West Virginia's 4-4 overall. So they'll both be, obviously there's a lot on stake. UC's only got 2 more home games this season. We're already more than halfway through the season, which is kind of crazy. So they only got 2 home games left. This one in TCU in end of November, and they need to win their home games. They win their home games, they win those 2, and they have a winning record. Which, if we asked that at the beginning of the season, if would you take 7-5 and I guess they'd be 5-4 in the Big 12, even if they lose the 2 road games. I think everybody here and most people, UC fans, would say, yeah, I'll take 7-5 and 5-4. So I think a lot riding on this game. So they can win it. I mean, West Virginia's not great; they're mediocre, but based on last year, I'm not going to put anything over that UC is definitely going to win this game or anything. So,
How's the health of Kiner? Wasn't he banged up a little bit?
he played the last game.
Okay.
So they have a number of guys who are kind of banged up, but they're better health after they were before they were the last bye. They had the bye like whatever it was 3-4 weeks ago. They're better health than they were coming into that bye. So I don't know. I haven't heard anybody for sure that's out week out from the game, but it's Sorsby's he's been dealing with like a kind of a bad, not his throwing hand, but his other hand for a while now. So hopefully that just keeps getting better.
Yep. You got anything to add, Sam, before we move on?
No. I mean, it's a conference game, so kind of have to prepare accordingly. I like them coming off a bye to be prepared and be ready to roll against West Virginia. So,
Yep. Let's send them back home on their country roads, right? And we can, get one step closer to that bowl eligible, and that would be huge for Scott Satterfield's team, and just for the morale there down in Clifton.
yeah. I mean, that's where we kind of said he had to be at worst was 6-6. So,
yeah.
I mean, if they finished 6-6, it would still feel a little disappointing to me because they got off to a pretty good start. But overall, at the beginning of the season, if you'd have told me 6 wins, I'd be happy with it.
Yeah, I like that. Moving on to the Reds. Reds news. The 40-man roster, the Reds needed to make some decisions here, and just want to get you guys' opinions on, some of the things I guess we understood that it was going to happen, right? Nick Martinez opting out of his contract, which was a no-brainer because he was going to make less money this coming year if he would have opted in. So, that's a no-brainer. The question now becomes, will the Reds offer him a qualifying offer, which is $21 million, right?
Yeah, I mean, I think they would do that, offer him a call. I mean, I would be happy to take him back for 1 year at $21 million.
Yeah.
And if he does not come back, which he wouldn't, I'm assuming he would not accept that, you at least get a draft pick out of it. Let it.
As long as he makes, I think it's like somewhere around the $50 million. I think that's if he signs somewhere.
I didn't think that there was a dollar amount attached to it. I thought it was just if they signed somewhere.
Well, I think the dollar amount isn't there where they slot?
Oh, yeah, the dollar amount might have to do with the comp pick.
Right, the comp
pick. I think you would still get a comp pick no matter what.
Right, but is it comp A or comp B? I think.
Oh, God, I don't know.
I thought I read somewhere that was over 50, but so if he's looking for a 3-year deal, he probably should get that. Pagan, another one that we expected to opt in.
Right, there was no doubt about that.
There was no doubt, right?
He wouldn't make $8 million from anyone else.
No, so he exercised his option, and then Brent Suter signed to a 1-year contract for 3.5, I believe it was. Luke Malley's option was declined, which I think he was supposed to make 3.5 this year, and I mean he didn't produce, but I thought they liked him enough to keep him around.
Yeah, but not at that number.
It's
too expensive for a bad backup catcher.
Right. So he may come back.
Bad hitting and backup catcher at least. Yeah, sure. If they bring him back at $1 million, fine. But
right.
You can get backup catchers for $1 million.
Yeah. Yeah. I've got the comp rules for those that are interested here. So it has to do with if you're a revenue sharing recipient, with which the Reds are. If the team or if the player signs for at least $50 million, you're in between the first and second round. If it's less than $50 million, it's after the second round. So between the second and third round.
Okay. Moving on, Jacob Junis declined his mutual option, which, it's $8 million, which is a lot.
I would think he's a little more likely to come back to Martinez just because Martinez is going to make way more money than Junis.
Right.
I mean, if Junis thinks he's getting like $15 million, I would never pay. I mean, I wouldn't pay him that. He hasn't produced enough. So I don't know. Some of these guys, it's like Blake Snell. And Blake Snell, turned down $31 million. I would not pay him. He rarely makes 10 starts a year. So I hope a team in our division signs him for $200 million. So they, get 5 starts at him over the next 3 years or whatever. So,
all 9 starts will be against the Reds, and he'll be the only game where he goes past the 6th.
Yeah, but that'll be the only starts he'll make the whole season.
Ty France.
Some of these guys are just way exaggerate their value.
Yeah,
right.
They do.
Ty France and Nick Martini were sent outright
Good.
to AAA.
Good, especially in the latter one.
And they
I was hoping he'd be released, not just sent to
and I
AAA.
think they both elected.
They both elected free agency.
Oh, good. Please, someone sign Martini. If he's on the starting, or if he's starting lineup this year, let alone on the roster.
Two bombs.
Yeah, it was his only contribution, one of 162 games. So
hey, that one mattered.
Oh yeah, real big. And there are 85 losses.
Well, let me rephrase that. It mattered to us fans. It did not matter one bit to the ex-Reds manager David Bell because that was just one of 162 games. We just gotta go. We take them one day at a time. TJ Antone and Austin Wynns were reinstated to AAA. TJ elected to go to AAA. Austin Wynns elected to go to free agency. And then the shocker, which I did not see this coming. I thought Christian Roa was going to be on the fourth. I thought they were going to protect him, but apparently they didn't want to, and he got claimed by the Marlins. So, Justin Wilson earlier in October, Justin Wilson, Buck Farmer, and David Buchanan, whoever that was,
yeah, I don't even know what
became free agent. So he must have had a cup of coffee there. So I guess let's look at any surprises there of the names that I read to you guys.
Nope. Yeah. Not surprises in decisions that were made.
No, I don't.
Yeah, I think everything kind of went accordingly. I mean, as far as what we were expecting, especially with the known big leaguers, we knew Pagan was going to opt in, and we knew Martinez was going to opt out. I mean, Junis, I didn't really know what to expect from him.
My only, I guess I wouldn't say surprised, but I was a little like, that they would allow Buck Farmer to just go to free agency. I mean,
he was only on a 1-year deal.
Right.
Yeah, and his arbitration is up, so he was slated to be a free agent. It's not like they didn't tender him or anything.
Well, yeah, I thought maybe
they could still work out a deal.
Yeah, they can. So yeah, that makes sense. So here's the important dates. So tomorrow, November 4th, deadline for qualifying offers to be submitted. The GM meetings get underway on November 4th and run through November 7th in San Antone. So November 19th, qualifying offer deadline. The deadline 4 p.m. for players to accept a qualifying offer, 1 year at $20.05 million. November 19th is the Rule 5 protection deadline. The deadline is 6 p.m. for teams to protect players from the Rule 5 draft. These players must go on the 40-man. And then November 22nd is non-tenured deadline. The deadline, 8 p.m. for teams to offer contracts to club-controlled players for the 2025 season. So we'll know a lot more around Thanksgiving time of what the Reds need to do. And they're probably not going to do a whole lot from the buzz I'm hearing and reading from like Mark Sheldon just put something out saying that, they're want to improve offensively and defensively, and if they can, they will. But I don't think they're going to spend a ton of money trying to do that because they've got Matt McClain playing center field in Arizona. He was out there in the Arizona Fall League playing center field. So I don't know if they're thinking he's going to be moving to center field. And if that's the case, your boy Crawley India will be at second base for the, unless they trade him. But we'll see.
Yeah, I mean, I think, they're going to be playing the shell game where they're going to be moving, figuring out what money they want to keep, and then whatever money they're able to get rid of, move the shells around, and then, can they bring in an outfielder? If they, by getting, by not bringing Martinez back, by not bringing Junis back, by not bringing, of course, you're not bringing all these guys back, then that's also hurting the depth and the, and in this case, the pitching depth. But I mean, you're talking and getting rid of Maley and getting, you're talking $25 million right there. I mean, do you take, they then could take that $25 million and try to get a legitimate outfielder? That would, to me, be the move.
Right. I agree. I mean, everything that I've, people that run the contracts and projections, they had the Reds sitting at after arbitration and qualifying offers and things like that. They were sitting at something like $60.5 million. And, even if they increase their payroll a little bit from last year, they would still be, if they even, increased it $60 million to 120, it still would be under the average, like the major league average payroll. And I don't know. But don't expect them to, this is what Mark Sheldon said, don't expect them to go and sign like they did last year, spend $108 million. So we'll have to wait and see, and let's hope they go get a big outfield bat.
Yeah, I mean, first thing I would do is I'd just call up Scott Boras and be like, 1 year, $100 million for Juan Soto. What do you say? I mean, he's probably going to tell you no, because they're going to get, a 10-year, $500 million deal somewhere else. But it's worth a phone call at the very least.
Ellie, train off season.
Yep. So. Yeah, I mean, shoot. I mean, Soto comes here for a year, hits 70 bombs, and he'll be getting a $1 billion contract if he wants it. He's only 25 years old.
Right. Yep. All right, let's move on off of that. I would love to have Soto in a Reds outfield, but that might just make me want to buy season tickets again. But we'll see.
Right, I think you're talking more likely I'd be happy with Teoscar, Hernandez, or Santander.
Yes, I would be happy. I would probably spend some money on. I don't know if I'd get the 20-game pack, but I'd definitely get down to the ballpark a few more times. But yeah. All right, let's move on to FC Cincinnati. They were in the playoffs versus the New York Football Club. Lost last night. 3-1, I believe it was. And so the series is tied 1-1, coming back here to TQL Stadium on Saturday, November 9th. And that's a 4 p.m. start. So that's kind of a odd time. Unless it's...
Yeah, it's just the playoff schedule. Their game on Saturday was at 5. I think it's just they want to try and isolate the games and not have them all at the same time, which I guess that's one of the few good things MLS is doing with their playoffs, because everything else about them is just absolutely stupid. It's like soccer in this country is run by a bunch of morons, but we don't have to go down that road again. But yeah, I mean, I really don't have anything to say. Shouldn't have to play a best of 3 in soccer in the playoffs for one round and not do it the rest of the rounds. FCC should have already advanced. Just playing extra games for no reason, just because Don Garber's an idiot. But other than that, I mean, it's a bit frustrating to have to play that third game now. On the bright side, at the very least, if you are to advance, and if Columbus is to advance, Columbus is going to have to play that third game as well. And that's kind of who I was worried about, was Columbus coming into the playoffs. So I mean, if they have to play 3 games, or if they get eliminated tonight, I think they're playing game 2 tonight. That'll be even better for us. But at the end of the day, we still have to take care of business next Saturday back at home. Defense will have to shape up. They can't make stupid mistakes like they did, just kind of out of position. But yeah, I mean, it is what it is, I guess. They're just going to have to correct things, and Lucho's going to have to make some magic happen next week.
Yeah. By the way, Columbus lost tonight. They're done.
So they're done.
They're out of the playoffs. They lost in a penalty shootout. It just happened.
So we don't have to worry about it.
Heard it here first.
Yeah. So I mean, that also means FC Cincy wins, they get the home game against Red Bulls.
Yep.
So that's a double. Of course, now FC Cincy's got to win. That's kind of recent history holds. They're going to blow it. Figure out a way to blow it. So, I've been struggling recently with my sports optimism when it comes to anything Cincinnati. I'm just done. I'm just done. But anyway,
we should go national. Let's go national sports instead of Cincy.
So maybe that should be a topic. What teams can we now be? We all have to pick different teams. What are no Cincinnati teams allowed? Can we root for? Who do we pick in each sport? But anyway, yeah. So anyway, in terms of FC Cincy, I was at the game Monday. The first game, it was they played well. I mean, they controlled most 75% of the game, if not more. They should have won by more than 1-0. They're just scoring challenged. They've been that all year. Lucho again had the assist, and now he didn't play real well yesterday. I watched some of it. I didn't watch all of it, but I did watch some of it, and he didn't do a lot. So they're not winning if he doesn't do a lot. Just bottom line, they're so one player dependent, which in soccer is not good. But he in one game he can pull it off. So hopefully he does play well. Defense just has to play better. They're still they at least are starting the same guys. I think the Monday game was the first time they had started the same lineup 2 times in a row, which is crazy over 6 games, whatever it's been.
Well, I don't think David Bell, in 158 games or however many he was here,
they
to not start the same
lineup
in the same positions.
Yeah.
2 consecutive days in a row because no.
Yeah. So we'll see. They should win. I mean, they're better than New York City. I mean, they just are. But again, the offensively challenged issue does still worry me. Can they eke out 1-0, 2-1, that kind of thing? At least not going to be playing on a baseball field on next Saturday, which is a good thing. You're talking about bad. I mean, the playoff format is a mess, but playing on a baseball field in 2024 for a soccer game, I mean, that's beyond a mess. I mean, you couldn't commit a bigger sin than that. I mean, you could play 9-on-9. I'd be happier than that than playing on a baseball field. So, I mean, that's ridiculous at the highest level of American sports. So,
they're one of the flagship teams of MLS too.
So, but anyway, they won't be playing on that, and so that's a good thing. But they got to win. If they win, they move on. And Columbus is out of the picture. Don't have to worry about them because I would not have been optimistic at all of that going to Columbus for a playoff game.
Do we know?
And so,
what are who would be the opponent if the scenarios if they win?
Well, if they win, they'll play New York Red Bulls because
the Red Bulls.
That's who just beat Columbus.
Oh, okay. So that's who we would the bracket.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Then after that, it would be Miami. So, just like I said, they're not losing.
I did see something about the Miami owner came out and saying that he couldn't sign Neymar because of rules.
Right. As if that stopped them before. They only have like 5 guys on the team. They're all international stars that they have figured out how to work into the salary cap.
Yeah. So I think that's kind of funny. They all deferred their money like Otani did, right? So
but you're only allowed so many. I mean, it's not even about money. You're allowed they have designated player positions, and you can't have more than 2 or something like that. They have like 5. So
they just designate.
So I have a feeling Neymar will be on the team at some point.
Oh yeah. With it, that's a guarantee.
Yeah, Messi will go crying, saying, "I'm going to pull my Apple subscription, and we can't have this." All right. So good luck to FC Cincy this coming Saturday. Go Pack TQL. Make it loud. Cheer on a victory. Speaking of victories, the Bengals finally got their first victory at home. 41-24, thumping of the not the Oakland Raiders, Las Vegas Raiders. Burrow, 5 touchdowns. Didn't look happy at all throwing them. And, Trey Hendrickson, 4 sacks, career high there. But, I think the talk leading up to the game was, what the heck did Jermaine Burton do? After last week and making a couple of nice catches.
I heard it was what he didn't do.
Well, that's what I'm saying. It's like, what did he do? And
Burrow. I heard rumors where he didn't show up to walkthrough yesterday.
That's not a rumor.
No, that's not a rumor.
No, that's confirmed.
Yes.
And he was late Friday.
And now he didn't show up, and there was no call, no show. Not even let him know where he was. So
right.
Yeah.
And he was
I mean,
Friday
he's got to go. He's got to go.
After Burrow,
he stuck his neck out there for him. He's got to go.
Yeah.
If you're Burrow, you've got to walk up to Mike Brown's office or Katie Blackburn or whoever's in charge around here nowadays and be like, he's got to go. You can't embarrass me like that. He's got to go.
No.
They won't cut him.
I know they won't, but they need to. He's got to go. That's ridiculous. They were sticking up for him after all these rumors were swirling around. They were saying it's not true, it's not true, it's not true, and then he goes and pulls that. Yeah, you've got to go. When Nick Saban's out here saying, yeah, it's probably time for him to go, he's got to go.
But anyhow, let's get back to the game. He was a great cheerleader on the sideline. They showed him, I don't know.
Yeah, he was having all kinds of fun on the sideline.
Yeah.
Up and down, congratulating people, saying, yeah. But we move on. Thoughts on the game? I was impressed. The running game, if that doesn't say Chase Brown should be your number 1 back
and not split.
Feed him the ball and 32 touches today for Chase Brown, and he ran hard. Thoughts on the game?
Yeah, I actually going to start with the defense. Outside of the first and I guess last drive I'm not really going to count. You had a bunch of backups in there and you're just kind of out there. But outside of the first drive, I thought it was the best game the defense has played. I mean, Hendrickson was a monster, but other guys were getting pressure that allowed Hendrickson to, clean up. It happened a couple of times. They forced a couple turnovers. I mean, they were forcing 3 and outs. I thought the defense played the best that they've played all year. So I was really happy to see that, especially hopefully that's a good pick-me-up going into Baltimore on Thursday.
Yep. Raleigh?
Yeah, I mean, and I'll talk the offense. I mean, they spread the ball around. I mean, Gesicki had a big game. Unfortunately, this will be the only season we'll see of him because they never bring, guys back and tight ends. And even though he should be back, I mean, obviously Burrow to Gesicki is they've had a good combination, especially since Higgins won't be here next year. And it seems like when T doesn't play, Gesicki kind of steps up into that role. But this will be it for him. But at least, he did, he had a nice game today. Chase Brown obviously had a really good game and, helps when the offensive line blocks well. So, I mean, I'm sure they must have blocked well. If they don't block well, he ain't getting 120 yards. So kudos to the offensive line. Burrow got sacked once, maybe?
Got sacked once, yeah.
Yeah, so, I mean, they did pretty well in pass, pass blocking as well. Burrow did his normal thing where he's able to kind of scramble around and, buy time. He's, they've been saying, I think Paul Dehner Jr. said, if I've been listening to that a few times, that the Bengals, last week was a mess with the Philly game. The multiple times they had short yardage and they never do the tush push. Well, they have their own version of the tush push, which is snap the ball to Burrow, let him buy time, look around, give him options, and then he'll find somebody 9 out of 10 times for a first down or a touchdown. They did that today. They didn't do any, stupid 5-yard behind the line of scrimmage passes, or they weren't throwing the ball short of the chains and just all that kind of stuff that was going on over and over last week. So hopefully they learned a little bit from last week and other things that have gone on this week, and it continues on. My one note of pessimism is the Raiders are terrible. And I mean, they are a JV team. Bengals still have not beaten a legitimate NFL team this year. So we'll see what happens on Thursday, because now with a legitimate NFL team, they're going to be playing. So until they beat a legitimate NFL team, I don't harbor any real hopes of, again, the Bengals are the FC Cincy of the NFL. One player. They rely on one player to basically do everything. And you can't win that. You don't win the Super Bowl that way. Chiefs right now are 8-0, 7-0. Mahomes isn't even playing very well. They're 7-0, 8-0. If Burrow played like Mahomes this year, the Bengals right now would be maybe have won one game. So until they decide they're willing to do something beyond have one player, rely on every one player, I don't see them, having a shot at the Super Bowl.
I will say, offensively, Zach Taylor's got to get some of these play calls in faster. And you can't be substituting guys in with 9 seconds on the play clock. He did that several times. Thank goodness. I mean, the game was out of hand, but that's why Burrow was pissed off at the end of the game, even though he's still throwing 2 more touchdowns. And you see him, just all irritated. It's because Zach Taylor's getting him the call with 10 seconds left, and then Tanner Hudson comes running on the field. And the defense is allowed all the time in the world to match substitutions. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, you can't make those little mistakes against an actual football team. Like that, it's not going to work out on Thursday against the Ravens if they do stuff like that. It's just not going to happen. You can't take delay games on field goal attempts. Like, you can't do things like that. You can't – I mean, I know Zach Taylor only did it because of how big they were up, but you can't challenge if a punt goes out of bounds. Like, you just can't do stuff like that, Like, I get it. He was feeling it, wanting to get him, the coffin corner down inside the one, and they were up by 21, so no big deal. But, I mean, stuff like that, it makes you look dumb as a coach, and that's something, I mean, that's been a criticism everybody's had of Zach Taylor, is he can't manage a game. So, I mean, that stuff, it's still lingering. Even in a blowout, players are frustrated by it. And it's unacceptable.
Well, my two things that I have, my takeaways. One is Yosef Voss needs to block. I mean,
yeah,
on that pick.
Yeah, that was all him. All him.
It was all on him. He
was going to go run a route. He forgot the play.
Yeah, something. I mean, I don't know what don't know, but he has to block, and that's not the first time he's done some foolish stuff there. And the second one, and this could play into why Burrow was so pissed, is how many free shots is Max Crosby going to get on your damn quarterback and no offensive lineman comes up and pushes him off or jumps on him or anything like that? I mean, yes, I know he got 15, additional yards, but if that would have been I don't know if that would have been.
If that's Josh Allen, the whole offensive line is on.
Or
whole offensive line.
Yeah, or Lamar Jackson, right? I mean,
yep.
I mean, the only other quarterback that probably wouldn't get that would be, Deshaun Watson at Cleveland. Because I mean, they
because his team hates him.
They would jump on. They would jump on top too.
Yeah, they give Crosby a high five on the way back to the huddle.
But that has me a little concerned. It's like.
Well, it just goes back to what we've been saying previously, how their run blocking, like they just don't seem aggressive. Like they just, they're just kind of out there. They get in people's way as an offensive line. They don't have that aggressiveness to them. I mean, I've mentioned it a couple times this year how Pollock is, preaching glass eaters, and they don't have a single glass eater on that offensive line. And I mean, the first one, to be honest, I didn't hear them blow the whistle. I mean, I thought it was still kind of BS.
It was late.
But, I mean, the second one where, I mean, he threw it, and, I mean, one, how he didn't even get called for roughing the passer is crazy to me. And then, two, how no offensive lineman was back there. I mean, that is ridiculous.
Maybe the offensive lineman was saying, we don't want to get in a fight with you now because you're going to be our teammate come Tuesday. So,
oh goodness, it's as likely as Juan Soto being from the Reds. I'm being on the Reds.
We'll give him Burton, Crocodile Hunter.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
That's all it'll take.
And a couple of draft picks. We'll give him Jake Browning. I'll give him Jake Browning. They need a quarterback.
I mean, they they take Jake Browning.
They would take Jake Browning.
We'll take
not for Max Crosby. They're not.
Well, I don't know.
I will on a positive note. Marius Mims did a good job. I mean, Max Crosby really did.
Yeah.
I mean, he had a couple good plays, but I mean, overall, I mean, I don't know if he was always on Mims,
no, he
but
was bouncing back and forth.
Yeah, but on the times he was on Mims,
mm-hmm.
when he wasn't false starting, or when Crosby wasn't false starting, Mims did a pretty good job. So I mean, that's a good sign that he continues to grow and and to be the solid left tackle, because we obviously need him. So
yeah, and Cody Ford on the other side today played well too.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't hear his name called, so that's good.
Yep, that is good.
He didn't get embarrassed like the Raiders left tackles did.
Right.
Well, speaking of calling names, did Miles Murphy play?
I did
not see him.
He had one good move, I thought.
I saw him chasing somebody. I don't know.
Chasing, that's probably normal. That's every time. So
he got a good hit on Desmond Ridder as he threw the ball.
That means was he only in as a back, like a late sub then against Desmond Ridder time?
Yeah, it was. Osai was kind of their rotation.
Osai was there, but he was in. I don't know. I don't know. Third quarter, because I think I saw him. Like I said,
wasn't he in the number 1 pick last year?
Yeah, he was.
Okay, just wanted to check on that.
Yeah. Yep. Well, speaking of draft picks that miss, we have a lot. We have a lot in the last 3 years that have missed, and we've gotten rid of the ones that we've hit on. So it is what it is. But let's move on. We've got the Raiders at Baltimore Thursday night. Exactly 1 year ago, what Burrow's season was done. 1 year ago to the. So hopefully we don't have any repeats of that. And I think it's going to be a raucous attitude down there. Their fans are going to be all over the place for any night game. Their stadium is always rocking and rolling. I don't know. I'll let you guys throw out your predictions first, and maybe you can sway me one way or the other.
I don't know. I mean, the optimist in me, I really want that this past Raiders game to be the turning point. We go on a nice little run here, but I mean, that's a short week. I mean, I don't know what Orlando Brown's status is going to be. I don't know what T. Higgins' status is going to be. That makes it tough. I mean, we know what Jermaine Burton's status is going to be, but he wasn't a big key player anyways. I'm going to be an optimist. I'm going to say 24-21 Bengals win.
Ooh.
And go to 5-5 going into the bye.
That would be huge.
I think I've been the optimist in this group in terms of my predictions, but I'm not that optimistic. So Bengals still have not beaten a legitimate NFL team this year, and the Ravens always, Lamar Jackson loves playing the Bengals. So I would love for him to get a win, because this would be an unexpected win. And even at the beginning of the season, we were not predicting this was going to be a win. So this would be a real big pickup, but I'm not seeing it. So I'm going Ray. I think the defense is going to show their true colors and be awful again. So I'm going to go 38-27 Ravens.
Well, Joe Burrow did say in a press conference earlier that they have to score 30 points a game, right? I mean, in order for a chance. And tonight's press conference, he was, they were asking him why he was so mad, and he was like, because he threw 5 touchdowns, and he was mad at the one drive that didn't result in a touchdown, and he was like, I want, every possession has to end in a touchdown, is what he said, or else it's a failure. And he's putting that pressure on him, and I think that's something to motivate him, especially with the bad play calling, the drop passes, the whatever. He has to find that inner motivation just to get, what they say, Joe Shiesty back. And what better way to do that than going into Baltimore and breaking his record and throwing 6 touchdown passes in the, and there and 500 some yards again. I'm going to be optimistic this time, and I'm going to say Bengals 41, Ravens 40, because it's going to be either really high or it's going to be just a 10-7 type of game.
No way. Bengals have a better chance of winning than it being 10-7 either way.
It could be pouring down rain. Lamar could,
break his leg on the first play?
You never know. But then Tyrone Huntley will come in and run all around like
he's not on there.
Oh,
he's not on there with the Dolphins now.
Yeah.
Oh,
I don't know who their backup is.
They had what's his face? UC's quarterback last year was in training camp with them. I don't know if he made the team or not.
Emory Jones?
Emory Jones, yeah.
No, he's not the back. No way, he's the backup.
No, I was going to say they have a.
He was on their team in preseason. I know that.
Well, so was the truck driver that picked up your garbage the other day.
Yeah, it's true.
Well, hey, I would have got his autograph, But let's move on. So hopefully, Bengals come out going into that bye week, and Burrow said 7-2, and if we lose to Baltimore, that means only one more loss, and we got to play Pittsburgh twice. We got to play Dallas in Dallas, even though Dallas isn't playing very well at all. But
that sucks.
They do, but
McCarthy might not even be around by the time we get there. So
we hope he's around.
Well, yeah.
So, but yeah, so we've got to win this game, and then that just puts us right back into the talk of, hey, we're on the outside looking in.
Well, again, the good news is, one piece of good news is that the AFC is pretty bad. There's there's probably any teams over 500 right now in the AFC. So.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, they're right there in the wild card.
They were. I don't know what.
Even with the Broncos or something like that. I don't know.
Because coming into this week, they were 9th.
Right.
In 9th place. So there's hope. That's the Cincinnati word. There's hope. All right. Speaking of hope, let's move on to our trivia and see if there's any hope of us answering this. Last week, we did not have any because we were off. So this week, Charlie has the sole question.
And as usual, it's a multiple parter here. So you actually brought it up at one point, Dave. So it has to do with passing touchdowns in a game. And in honor of Burrow having 5 today, the questions relate to that. Okay. So the first one would be, what is the record for an NFL record most pass touchdowns in a game is 7. So name, and I'm going to give you, there's 9 of them, 8 people that have passed for 7 touchdowns in a game. So can name any of the 8, but in particular name the 3. There's 3 that have happened since 2013. Can you name those 3? Because the other guys were pre-1970.
I think Nick Foles, is the most recent.
He is one of them, but he's not the most recent.
He's not the most recent. Okay. Peyton Manning
he is one.
Also.
Yeah, Peyton Manning.
He's not Nick Foles.
He's not the most recent. He actually was the same year as Nick Foles.
Okay.
There's somebody more recent than those 2.
Well, that year was what, 2013, 14?
Yeah, 2013.
Somebody more, Drew Brees? No.
Yeah, that's it. That's the other one. He was 2015.
Okay.
And then your other question, your secondary question, still with passing touchdowns, is, huh?
Who caught him?
No. Is that there has been 3 games this year of a quarterback having 5 touchdowns in a game. Burrow today. Can you name the other 2?
Lamar, I think.
Lamar is one.
Yeah.
Didn't Burrow did it earlier this year?
That's it. You got it.
Yeah.
Burrow got the other one. Yeah. Burrow 2 of the 3 against the Ravens.
Against the Ravens, yeah. Lamar didn't have 5 in that game, did he?
No, he had 5 against the Buccaneers.
Okay.
I think I'm sure he had 5 touchdowns in some version.
Yeah.
Passing, running, something.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. Derrick Henry had a couple, I think, scores as well. All right. We're going to move on real quick to our topic of the week, which is we're going to do a little Cincinnati Xavier college basketball preview. Basically, what we're going to look at, some key players, key games, and our predictions for the season, and if we think they're going to make the NCAA tournament. So we'll start with UC. Key players. Who do you guys have?
For me, it's pretty much every NCAA team. It's point guards. I mean, that you only go as far as your point guard's going to take you. So I mean, Day and Jizzle are going to be your 2 primary ball handlers. So it's going to be how much of an improvement have they made? How well can they control the ball and get it to, the wing scorers, Nikosius and Skillings, because I think those 2 guys will be the leading scorers. So it's going to be how efficient the guard play is, in my opinion.
Crawley?
Yeah, I think UC's, to me, their big advantage is they're bringing so many guys back. That they're they're not living in this transfer world where a lot of these teams, including the one 2 miles away from them, who's basically all new guys again. When you can bring not just a couple guys back, but literally their top 6 guys from last year, but they're bringing even more than that back. But so that's an advantage, especially early on. They don't, day 1 of practice, they didn't have to just okay, what do we play? What's our basic offense here? And what's our basic defense? Like they could start doing, they've been able to do advanced work from day 1. So that's an advantage to me. I think the transfers they did get, I think are really good pickups. They fill needs. They have a big man. They have a super athletic wing player, and then they have a shooter. So I think West did a really good job and with the transfers and finding guys who fit needs. Freshman, that's the one freshman's hurt. McKinley's hurt, but Betsy, at least in the exhibition game, showed he was not afraid of anything with Ohio State. Going to shoot, he don't mind shooting, doing whatever, it needs to be done. He'll be fighting for minutes. I think their second 5 guys will be, a really pretty good group, and they're going to be all fighting for minutes. So it's going to be kind of a battle, which I think makes you a better team when, when you got, pretty good talent, and they're all going to be kind of fighting and scrapping to get 10 minutes here and 8 minutes there and that kind of thing. So I think that's all positive. They're going to need a couple guys to get, fit that. They need a couple big time players, like right now, I think they have a lot of really good guys, like on paper, but do they have the superstar? Do they have the guy who, when the time clock is at 3 seconds, who are they going to? The coach just kind of filled that role last year, but they lost a lot of games that way, including the game I was at, the Texas game. So somebody's got to step up for that. If it's Skillings, if it's Lukosius, if it's Jizzle, if it's, whoever it is, if it's Dylan Mitchell, who probably is the most talented player on the team, Dylan Mitchell, transfer from Texas. So I saw a list of the top 100 players in the country. Not one UC player was on it. And so that's what they're fighting. I think that's their weak. It's a weakness, but it's like something that I think at the end of the season, they could have 3 guys on that list.
Right.
And that's they're going to needs to happen is their top guys, whoever those guys are, going to need to, become first team, second team players on the Big 12. Because your Big 12 is by far the best conference in the country. So if you got 1 guy on the first team and 2 guys on the second team, you're I mean, that's telling you a lot about how your team's going to be, at the end of the season. So that to me is the thing I'm going to be looking for.
Yeah, I think for me with UC, I agree with Sam a lot that guard play is so critical, but also, um, board play, especially when you get into the Big 12, you have to clear the boards, and you got to be able to get a couple offensive rebounds, especially at away places. You go down to Waco, you go to Fog Allen. If you can limit those guys to one shot, you have a chance. But you have to be able to do that, and you have to be able to get some easy putbacks for your offense because they're going to come after you. So that's the thing that I'm going to be looking for is like how's their rebounding going to um, hold up through the course of the Big 12. And then also, this is Wes. I mean, he's done a great job with bringing in talent. Um, Now it's time to make that step. This is year 2 in the Big 12. Satterfield's making a step. West has to make a step. They're predicted, the preseason prediction to finish 6th in the Big 12.
I'd take that right now.
Oh, yes. I would too. I would too. And, it's.
I think that's fairly accurate preseason ranking, I would think.
Yeah.
I think they have the ability to be better than that, though.
Yes. I mean, with what I saw, that exhibition game against Ohio State, it's like, okay, they can make some noise in the Big 12.
But I mean, they've got a lot of really good athletes, like just pure athletes. So I mean, they're a deep team too. I'd be curious to see, how often they apply like full court pressure, like throughout the game. Kind of not necessarily, like Bob Huggins did at West Virginia, but maybe something. Mick Cronin was pretty good at having a press when he was here. That 3/4 zone press that he had.
I mean, if you got 10 guys that can play and you're not afraid to play them, I mean, go the Nolan Richardson 40 minutes of hell. Just get in and just make it difficult for other teams, right? Because what was them and the UNLV teams, it was you couldn't replicate that in practice. So you have to get 7 guys out on the floor, 8 guys on the floor playing defense against your offense to replicate it, and you just keep coming and coming and coming and coming, and pretty soon they're gonna break. And I don't know, it'd be fun to see something like that out of UC this year. But some key games. What are some key games for the Bearcats this year? I mean, obviously,
they got to beat Xavier. They have to beat Xavier.
All the Big 12 games are key, right? I mean, all of them. But the non-con.
I mean, Xavier to me is the key, just for the standpoint they haven't beaten them recently. I mean, I think Xavier's won 4 in a row or something. So, I mean, UC has their best team since the Gary Clark, that team there where they blew it in the tournament in the second round. But their best team, I think I think they're better than that team. On paper, this is the best UC team, I think, since the Huggin years. So in terms of 1 to 12 on the roster, so they got to be Xavier. They're at home. Here it's still early part of the season, that game when UC should be rolling pretty well because all their guys coming back. Xavier's still trying to figure themselves out. So that to me is in the non-conference game. That to me would be the easy number 1.
I had 4 of the non-cons that are key games, right? Northern Kentucky University. That's you go back to their arena, and the last time you went in there, you left with egg on your face. I don't see that happening, but you just got to be aware.
Right. Yeah.
And then obviously Xavier, and then Georgia Tech and Nova, right? I mean,
those are just the only legitimate teams are playing in the non-conference.
Yeah.
Well, they're playing a couple of others, but nothing.
No, they're not.
They're not.
I literally looked at their schedule just now. I mean, those are their whole. Other than, I mean, you could say Dayton.
Dayton.
Dayton,
yeah.
Who they did lose to last year.
Right. Yeah.
But I mean, that's it. I mean, other than that, it's Alabama A&M or whoever they play tomorrow.
You never know. Being upset.
No,
Arkansas.
I know. No, there's no. I never know. I do know.
All right. All right. So some predictions for the Bearcats. Conference record, and then do you think they make?
What do they play? 20 games in the conference
Yeah,
now?
20 games.
Which is crazy.
Which, insane.
I'm going to be very optimistic. This is my one thing I'm going to be, in terms of a team right now, very optimistic. I think they finish in the top 3 of the Big 12. Ooh. I think they go 15-5 in the Big 12.
Wow.
If not even better. And so they win 25 games at least.
Yeah, I mean, I'm looking through their Big 12. I mean, they've got Baylor twice, but outside of that,
they play Kansas here. They play Arizona here.
Right,
they don't play them there.
They don't play any other, as far as the Big 12 goes, any of the big boys outside of Baylor.
Well, Iowa State and Houston, they play it there, which I would put as losses. But
yeah, but they just play them once, though, is what I'm saying.
Yeah,
they don't have to play them twice.
They got West Virginia twice.
Yeah, I'm not worried. West Virginia's not any good.
I mean, they can beat them. I mean, for sure.
Yeah.
I mean, they could be 5-15, but I'm saying, I mean, in the Big 12, you never know. I mean, the Big 12 football, the preseason has literally been flipped. All the top 4 teams are literally the bottom 4 teams this year. So,
yeah,
I had them when I went through the schedule. I had 10-10. I know that
would be a big disappointment.
Yeah, I think it would be as well, but I just. Arizona scares me. I know it's at home, but that scares me. And then I think they go Arizona and then Baylor. Boom, boom, right?
Oh yeah. I mean, yeah, you can say any game. Right, any game is going to be a difficult game.
Right, but
yeah, I mean, I'm just going through the schedule again here. I mean, it starts out tough for them. At Kansas State is their first one.
That's right.
And then Arizona, Baylor, Kansas. Just boom, 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 boom.
Boom, boom.
Then, I mean, Colorado's not going to be very good this year. I don't think Arizona State's going to be very good.
Mm-hmm.
At BYU, you never know. You don't know which 30-year-old is going to be a redshirt freshman and going to be a baller. You don't know until the season actually starts for BYU. Right. But West Virginia's not any good. UCF's not really that good. And, I mean, it is the Big 12, so, this is compared to the rest of the conference, obviously. But Oklahoma State's not very good. So I've got them around 12-8, 13-7 is where I think they're going to end up, which would probably be good enough for a top 5 seed. And who knows how they're doing the conference tournament? I haven't seen the format, but I'd imagine that'd be a double bye. If you have double byes, I don't even know what the actual formatting is. But I think that would be 13 wins, put them 13-7 in conference. I think that'd be a top 5 seed in the Big 12.
I would imagine it will be. I mean, 13-7 might win it.
Yeah. I mean, you'd be in contention for sure. Yeah. I mean, I just don't. 20 conference games I don't think that's ever been done. I think so. I just don't know record-wise what's gonna kind of be the precedent here. So
Big Ten used to play 18.
Yeah. 18. I always thought was pretty common. You played everybody twice. Right. Back in the day when conferences were correct, but.
When the Big 12 played 18 last year.
Yeah. Then what were they last year? Were they 9-9?
No.
Were they
either 8-10 or 7-11?
Yeah, they were under that. All right, so do you think they make the field of 64?
Yeah. I bet they're a top 6 seed.
Yeah, again, serious disappointment if they do not.
Yeah. I mean, you'd have to start asking questions about Wes Miller if they don't make the tournament.
Yep, I think it's a clean sweep. I think they make the tournament, and as long as they stay relatively healthy, right?
Right.
That's the key.
I mean, even Crowley just mentioned it. I mean, we think they have 10 guys.
Yeah, they do.
You should be able to weather a couple injuries. You really should.
As long as they're not permanent injuries, that they're out
Yeah.
for season-ending injuries. Like to Jizzle or, I mean, Day-Day's day-to-day right now. So,
Well, I'd rather him be day-to-day right now than in 2 months.
Right, exactly. But if it's a lingering injury,
you
just never know. All right, let's move over to the other side of town and talk about the Muskies. Sean Miller's back for, is it year 3 that he's back?
Yep.
Yes. Yeah.
Year 3 is back. Key players, for me, it's Fremantle is back and Jerome Hunter. I think those two guys, Fremantle obviously coming back from injury. I think he needs to reestablish himself. And Jerome Hunter being the sixth man off the bench and producing like he can or should. Those two guys to me would be the ones, because those are the familiar guys that are back. They didn't have to go get people to replace them.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know too much about Xavier. I didn't bother, reading up on him. I don't care about him that much. I mean, I'm just looking through their roster. I recognize two names, the two names that you said. So I don't even know if these other guys were on the team last year.
Those are about the only guy. Most of these other guys are transfers.
I figured that's kind of what it was.
Well,
I mean, the guys are going to. I mean, the guys that they're counting on. Sure, they're counting on Hunter and Fremantle, but it's really, I think, to me. I mean, I know a little bit about Xavier, Dalen Swain and Dave McKnight. Those are the two returning guys who are probably, even to me, more important than Hunter and Fremantle. They're more talented. They're the wing players. They're going to be their scorers. So and then I think Trey Green's the other one. I think he's the point guard. So, you need those guys that know the system and be able to, because the rest of the guys are new guys, freshmen or transfer guys. And I think they already lost one big man. I think they lost a big man for the year, I believe. An injury to him. It might be the Lucina guy, Troy. How do I say his name?
Traore. Yeah.
I feel like I remember something happening. Maybe it wasn't him. I don't want to say it was him. No, here it is. It is him. Except for the season-ending knee injury in October practice. So he that's a big man that they've lost, which is never good. UC's lost a player too, but it was a freshman who probably wasn't going to get that many minutes anyway. So they'll definitely be better than last year. Last year was a blip. Last year was an outlier. Xavier doesn't have losing seasons, no matter if they have all new players or all returning players. So they're going to be significantly better than they were last year. Sean Miller, that's just not going to happen with him being your coach. So there'll be a much bigger deal in the Big East. Will they challenge UConn? That's to be seen.
No,
probably not. But it wouldn't put me. St. John's is going to be better. Villanova is always good. Really, I mean, a lot of the Big East teams are good. Creighton's going to be good again. So. But it wouldn't surprise me if Xavier was challenging for second place. And I'm putting that with Sean Miller's pedigree and Xavier's pedigree.
Right.
Yeah.
Yep. I mean, I could see him top 4, 2, 3, 4. I don't think anybody's going to challenge. I mean, people will challenge UConn, but
it's not going to be Xavier though.
No. So.
I mean, I think there's really only 2 bad teams in the Big East. I think Georgetown and DePaul are the bad teams. I think everybody else in the Big East has a chance to be a tournament team. They won't, but at the end of the day, they won't end up being a tournament team. But I think they all have that expectation in the preseason that they should be. I think Xavier's a very middle of the pack team in the Big East, but I mean, that gets you 500. And if you make a run in the conference tourney, I mean, it is you still got the Big East name that's going to elevate you when it comes to, being selected for the actual tournament. So, I mean, they could very easily. I don't know what their schedule is. I don't know how many conference games they play here, but I'd assume probably 18. They probably haven't
played 20.
They play 20.
Yeah.
No, they don't play.
Oh, they
20.
don't play 20.
Yeah, I was gonna say I doubt they play 20. I would assume 18, but let's see, 1, 2, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19. Oh, no, they do play 20.
They do.
They play 20, yep.
They play everybody twice?
They play everybody twice. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, so they went to 20 games as well. So, I mean, I could very easily see them being 10-10. But, I mean, I could see 5 other teams being around 10-10 in the Big East. So,
I think they'll be better than that. I think I'd go 12-8.
And that's where I had them, like 12-8, 11-9, somewhere around there. But key games, obviously UC game. And then I had the Wake Forest, South Carolina non-con. And then I had TCU, even though I know TCU is not very good. But I think that.
I mean, they made the tournament last year.
Right. But, I think that gives them, or at least for me, it would give me a measuring stick to see where UC is, when they play them, just to give that point of reference for me.
Do you know that IUPUI is not called IUPUI anymore?
It's, what is it? It's
IUND.
IUND, yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah, because I think Purdue
must have dropped out. They didn't want to be associated with their 32 record or whatever.
Well, it's because Purdue. I don't know if this is the reason why, but I do know Purdue opened their own campus in Indianapolis.
Yep.
No, that would probably be why. But yeah, I think if I remember right, IUPUI, they had like open tryouts during the season last year or something like that because they were so bad. So I guess if you're a national title contender, you don't want to be associated with that. So.
All right. Predictions. Do they make the tournament? The NCAA field of 64.
I say yes.
I'm a hater. I say no.
I say yes. So there we go. So 2 yeses and a no. All right. That's going to wrap up our show next week. I believe we just found our topic of the week. We are going to select different sports teams to root for because we'll go across the gamut, right, for football, basketball, baseball, soccer, and
I might as well throw hockey in there too.
Yeah, let's go hockey in there.
Give some love on the pod for some hockey. Sweet.
And then we'll do college football and college basketball. Okay. So there you have it. So we'll come up with our list of teams that we will root for if things go south here. When things go south.
Yeah.
All right. You guys got anything for the good of the order before we get out of here?
Nope. Everybody have a good week.
Yes. Don't forget, go out and vote. It's important. So, if you're eligible,
Right.
you only have to be 18. Some states you might only be 15. Who knows? But no, I didn't say that. All right, let's get out of here before the FCC comes and shuts us down. So, with that, everybody have a great week. Take care.
See you.
Take care, everyone.